In the dim light of her Oslo apartment, Cecilie Gelhoy stared at her phone. A new match on Tinder smiled back at her, handsome, confident, and claiming to run a billion-dollar diamond empire. His name was Simon Leviev. Kindly follow our page as we continue. He said he was the son of one of the richest men in Israel. For a woman in her late 20s, busy with work and open to love, it felt like a fairy tale beginning. But this match would cost her everything she had. What seemed like a dream romance was the start of one of the most elaborate online fraud schemes in recent memory. Cecilie was like so many others in the digital age. She had a good job, a circle of friends, and a cautious approach to dating apps. Online platforms promised connection without the risks of the old days. You could chat, share photos, and build trust from anywhere. Simon's profile painted a picture of luxury, private jets, five-star hotels, and a life most people only see in movies. He messaged her with charm and humor. Soon they were talking every day. He listened to her stories. He shared his own. It felt real. But even then, small questions lingered in the back of her mind. Why did his stories sometimes shift? Why did he seem to travel so much? She pushed those thoughts aside. After all, he was already planning their first date in London. Little did she know, the man behind the screen had spent years perfecting a different kind of game, one that turned trust into cash. Their story followed a careful pattern. In late 2018, they met in person. Simon flew her out, covered every expense, and treated her like royalty. He introduced her to his supposed bodyguard and showed off documents proving his wealth. They traveled together. He paid for everything. Over weeks and months, the bond grew stronger through constant texts and calls. Then, without warning, the tone changed. Simon said he faced sudden danger from business rivals. He sent photos of damage to his private jet and claimed attackers had come after him. He needed money fast, to move funds, to pay security, to keep his empire from collapsing. He promised to repay every cent with interest. Cecilie wanted to help the man she cared about. She wired him thousands. When that was not enough, she took out loans and credit cards in her name. The requests kept coming. By the time she realized something was wrong, she had sent the equivalent of over $250,000. And she was not alone. Other women across Europe had fallen into the same trap. The fraudster had turned online romance into a repeatable scheme of lies and empty promises. The crime unfolded quietly, behind screens and bank transfers. There were no dramatic chases or physical harm, just careful manipulation. Simon created emergencies that sounded urgent and believable. He sent fake bank statements and travel records. He used the same scripts with each woman, always claiming the money would come back soon. Victims like Cecilie and a Swedish woman named Pernilla Sjöholm handed over life savings and borrowed funds they could not repay. The money vanished into accounts Simon controlled. He lived lavishly while they struggled with debt collectors and sleepless nights. The fraud was simple yet devastating. Build trust online, then drain finances through stories of crisis. What looked like love was really a calculated theft. Help came when Cecilie refused to stay silent. Deep in debt and desperate, she reached out to a Norwegian newspaper, Verdens Gang. Investigative journalists listened to her story and began digging. They soon discovered the same pattern in messages from other victims. One woman after another shared nearly identical tales of lavish dates followed by urgent pleas for cash. The reporters uncovered Simon's real name, Shimon Hayat, and a trail of earlier fraud cases dating back to 2011 in Israel. They found court records from Finland, where he had served time for similar scams against women. The investigation pieced together forged passports, name changes, and a history of running from the truth. Cecilie connected with the other victims. Together, they handed over thousands of messages, photos, and bank records. The journalists published their explosive report in February 2019. The world finally saw the full picture of the man who called himself Simon Leviev. Justice moved slowly but surely. Police across Europe took notice after the article appeared. In July 2019, authorities arrested Hayat in Greece using a forged passport. He was extradited to Israel, where he faced charges of theft, fraud, and forgery. In December 2019, a court sentenced him to 15 months in prison and ordered him to pay compensation. He served only 5 months and walked free in 2020. The victims recovered only a fraction of what they lost. Hayat continued to deny the full extent of his actions in interviews. Even years later, in 2025, he faced fresh allegations in Germany and a brief arrest in Georgia before release. The case left an open question: how many more people had he targeted online? How many more might still be out there? This story leaves us with a quiet warning about the world we all navigate every day. Online spaces connect us faster than ever, but they also hide those who see kindness as weakness. The women in this case were not foolish, they were human, hoping for something genuine in a digital age. Their experience shows how easily a polished profile and smooth words can hide years of practice. It reminds us that real safety begins with caution. Verify stories, protect your finances, and remember that anyone asking for money from a screen may have motives they will never fully reveal. In the end, the greatest protection is staying alert, asking hard questions, and refusing to let hope blind us to the truth. Because in the shadows of our screens, the next swipe could lead anywhere, and awareness is the one shield we all control.